I don't want to develop a bad habit. And if you shoot or do anything, if you do it by yourself, you don't have anybody there to watch you and go, hey, you were a little sloppy on that bench press. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Whiskey, Lead, and Steel, Feelings Hurt While You Wait, the official podcast of Aggressive Defensive Solutions. I'm Rick Sutton. Joining me today is Jeremy Phillips of the AgDefSol crew. And Jeremy, what are we going to talk about today, bud?
Continuing education.
There you go. Continuing education, the mark of a professional. So give me your thoughts, man. What's up?
Well, so exactly that there seems to be a misconception, not just in the shooting community, but in a lot of other professional communities in general, where people seem to think as soon as you are an instructor, I'm an instructor, I've reached the top, I don't need to do anything anymore. Just, teach classes, let the money roll in, and, buy my Maybach.
That is not the case. Not at all. No matter what you're teaching, if you're teaching, you should still be learning.
Absolutely. Scuba diving, you need to recertify every once in a while.
Yeah. Things
like that. And part of that leads into another bad instructor trait, I would say, especially in the firearms community, where instructors don't want to demo. Because they haven't been, doing that continuing education. They haven't been training with somebody that can provide them critical feedback. They haven't been taking classes and staying up on the latest industry trends and standards.
Yep, that's a problem. I see that every now and again. So I take training when I can. Schedule is what it is. I get to the schools that I can get to. But the bigger thing is, even if I don't have the ability to go to a school, I go out on the range. I get you, I get Lee, I get Mac, I get somebody else who is competent and understands what it is that we're looking for, whose opinion matters to me, right? Because that matters. And I get out and I like to shoot in front of somebody else. I like to be critiqued. And my whole thought on that is, I don't want to develop a bad habit. And if you shoot or do anything, if you do it by yourself, you don't have anybody there to watch you and go, hey, you were a little sloppy on that bench press. Hey, you were a little this. When you drew your weapon, you kind of kicked your elbow out a little bit. If you want to be an instructor, you need to be at the top of your game. And you need to be as good as you can be. And the only way you can be as good as you can be is to have somebody keep an eye on you. I think that way. That's one of the things that I wholeheartedly believe in. And I do that across the spectrum, whatever it is that I'm teaching. It has to do with driving or guns or horses or whatever. So I guess what brought that out, so you guys know where we're coming from. So we did instructor development today, training
absolutely,
today,
which is
had the crew out. And then that kind of at the AAR, after we were having lunch, we were talking about that. And Jim was like, we should talk about how continuing training comes into play and the importance of, if you're part of a training organization, getting out and training together.
Absolutely.
So what are your thoughts on that? About making sure that everybody, how do you think is the best way to go about making sure that everybody's on the same sheet of music?
So small group like we did today. There was 7 of us today, and it worked because again, depending on who you're sharpening against, if it's you, me, and Lee, we're gonna notice things. But as soon as you bring Mac in, or Steve, or Adrian, they're looking for different things than we are.
Yeah.
So they're gonna point out, hey, did you notice when you kick your arm back out to grab your holster, your elbow cocks out more? Nope, had no idea.
Yep.
And now that you mention it, yep, you're right. Okay, physical limitations, whatever. Yeah, I'm doing that. Sure. So every once in a while, getting that fresh set, getting that new set of eyes, whether it's taking training or bringing somebody else in who's not part of your normal training curriculum to point out, yeah, hey, did you notice this? No, didn't notice I was twisting my whole body to get the pistol out of the holster today.
Yeah.
So, yeah, having that fresh set, maintaining that different perspective is absolutely crucial to both professional shooters and instructors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. The other thing that I like is, I like when you get a group of folks together, because everybody's not only got a different perspective, but everybody has a different level of, to a degree, expertise, but also a different level of attention to given things.
Certainly. Yeah.
I know guys who they focus a lot on accuracy, almost to the point that they don't really care about how fast you're shooting. Then you got the whole other side of the spectrum. They're like, well, if you hit the target, as long as you were fast, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think you need to be as accurate as you can, as fast as you can. That's the goal there. But
Yeah.
if given the choice between accuracy and speed, as Wyatt Earp said, speed is fine, but accuracy is final.
Absolutely.
You can't miss fast enough to do yourself any good. So among the things that we went over today, just so everybody knows what we're talking about, so we did teach backs, got everybody the opportunity to stand in front of their peer group and talk about something. A couple people were assigned specific classes, and the classes that we were given, we threw those classes out specifically so that we could make sure that everybody was working on the same sheet of music. You're gonna use slightly different verbiage than I am when we talk about the fundamentals of marksmanship, or if we're talking about scuba diving, right? I mean, nomenclature is going to be nomenclature, but
based off your background, based off your experiences.
How you describe setting a kick count versus how I describe a kick count, or whatever that is. Those are going to be slight differences, but as long as the message is the same, and as long as if we're working in the same organization, if Bob takes a class from me and then he takes a class from you, the information ought to be 95% the same. Maybe the verbiage a little bit. So it's always good to get out there and refresh things. I find that people have a tendency to say this if they're teaching the same thing over and over again. They kind of get lulled into, this is my spiel, this is my spiel, this is my spiel. And that's not bad in that they can say it in their sleep, but then what are they missing? And what are they not emphasizing? Excuse me. And then the other thing is, have they dropped something? So I like the idea. You came out and you did a class on fundamentals of marksmanship, and I liked some of the way that you went through it. I like that, and it's not a way that I would have thought to do it. But I looked down and said, that works. That's not a bad idea. I'm all about having the left-handed monkey wrench in the bottom of the toolbox. Always, if you
and absolutely. And from my perspective, everything you said afterwards, I've heard before. Just for whatever reason at the time, just didn't sink into my freaking caveman brain. So,
Well, and so that's the other thing that comes along with it. So, and as an instructor, if you're floating around out there, so we all have a tendency to look at any kind of subject and go, "This is what's important." And we very rarely finish the sentence being, well, this is what's important to me, right? As an instructor, and you know this, and I know this, the whole crew knows this, it's what's important. Everything's important. Because everything is important because you've got to get all of that information to the client, to the student.
If it's not important, we wouldn't be fucking doing it.
Exactly. And
wouldn't waste the client's time, wouldn't waste our time.
Exactly. And so, but as human beings, we have a tendency to go, well, like tactical reloads. I don't like tactical reloads, pain in the ass, blah, 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 blah. So you don't train tactical reloads. And then when you reach a point where you've got to teach a tactical reload, either you don't teach it with enough enthusiasm for the people who need to get that information to get it, or you just jack it up. And then that's not good.
And I'm glad you brought up jacking that up. So, it's part of being a professional, part of being an instructor is we each have some level of pride. We've argued being, one of the marks of a great instructor is having a level of humility, but at some point you have a level of pride. I trust myself enough to do this to teach you. I have been doing this long enough. I have a decent enough background to teach you and to get through to you and teach you how to do this. But you see that gets in the way of teaching sometimes. Which, to a point we saw today. A couple of the guys out there were nervous.
Yeah.
You're shooting amongst your peers. I don't want to fuck this up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You don't want to fuck it up amongst your peers because we're going to give each other shit. Yep. At the end of the day, we're going to laugh about it. We're going to go about our ways and we're going to be better at it.
Yeah.
But yes, some people rightfully nervous. But, you see that extending to lesser instructors that because of that, I don't want to fuck this up in front of the students.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell them how to do it and I'm going to watch them do it.
Yeah.
But are they getting the best instruction if they didn't watch somebody who is supposedly a subject matter expert demo it for me?
Yeah. And it's funny because I've had this happen with shooting. I have it happen a lot with riding. people riding horses, where I'll go, I want you to do this, and they don't get it because they can't visualize it. And I go, okay, here, let me show you. And I get on the horse, and then they go, oh, okay, that's what you meant by that.
Yeah.
Every now and again, that happens with shooting students. I'm sure it happens with everybody. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And if you're taking a class, specifically if you're taking a shooting class, and your instructor is not demonstrating what it is that they want you to do, and they're not demonstrating it proficiently, then number one is you need to ask them why it is that they don't demo. And number two, if they demo it and they jack it up,
How did they recover?
how did they recover, and what did they say afterwards?
Which brings me to my follow-on on that one is, hey, we fuck shit up. We are human beings. We're not fucking robots. Every once in a while, yep, my pistol's gonna come out of my holster wrong, and friggin' I'm gonna sling one.
Yep.
I'm gonna rush, I'm gonna friggin' pull one to the left, and I'm gonna miss that target at 10 yards.
Yep.
It's gonna happen. Okay, then what? You can be fucking embarrassed, and then you could just not demo anymore. Or you can sit there and be like, okay, hey, let's all learn from this, me included.
Yep.
Why did I miss that target at 10 yards? Oh, you missed that target at 10 yards because we noticed when you pulled your pistol out, friggin' you jacked the fuck out of that trigger and friggin' sent it off into left field.
Yep.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah, climbed on the trigger. Came out, had a shitty grip. Wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. Wasn't focusing. I was thinking about something else. Yeah, it happens. And every time I've done that in front of a crowd, jacked it up, then I fixed it, right? You're supposed to draw and hit the target, and you miss the target, you shoot till you hit the target.
Yeah.
And then you finish up, and then you turn to the students. And what I have found, and I think this comes across pretty well because I've seen other guys do this, is you go, okay, let's talk about what I was supposed to do and how I got it wrong and how I fixed it. do. And you go, okay, now we all understand that. So now what I need for all of you who are taking the class, who are not subject matter instructors standing here to understand is, yeah, even the guy who's a subject matter expert drops the ball from time to time. So if you come out and you train and you don't shoot perfect and you don't shoot blisteringly fast, it's okay.
Yeah.
If you pull your gun and you miss the target at 10 yards, well, you need to work on that. But bear in mind, your instructor has missed at some point in time.
Absolutely.
Maybe it hasn't been a while, but he's missed. It's been a bit. But I promise you, at some point in time, probably not this century, but at some point in time, Jerry Micklick shot at a target and didn't hit it.
Yeah. Like I like to say, even smart bombs have bad days.
Exactly. Right? Sometimes you're the tiger shark, sometimes you're the turtle.
So yeah, not only do you learn, but the students learn because you're not going to live long enough to make every mistake. So if I can watch somebody else make a mistake and learn from it, and they know enough to point that out and learn from it themselves, yeah, I think that's a better learning environment, actually.
Oh, yeah. And one of the things that I've always, anytime I've taken a class from somebody and they have had an anecdote where they go, all right, so I was doing this and everything was going along smoothly, and then I fucked this up, and then that's what led to this. Here's the story. So don't do that. When you do that, I feel that you develop gravitas.
Yeah.
I go, all right, this guy is intelligent enough to know that I understand that he makes mistakes from time to time.
And additionally, it provides a level of humility that makes you more approachable by the students.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what do you think about this? I noticed you did this. Why do you do it that way?
Yep.
They are more comfortable with getting a one-on-one and asking those detailed questions to get that level of learning and understanding that they're looking for.
That's exactly right. And at the end of the day, if you're an instructor, instructing is not about, look how cool I am and what a badass I am and give me your money. Being an instructor is about expanding the knowledge base and skill sets of those people over there
Absolutely.
who have given you their trust.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing, it's not just, hey, here I've given you my money, I've given you my time, I've given you my energy. Mm-hmm. And what I want in return is I want for you to show me how to do things and do things better. That requires a level of trust. And, from an ethical standpoint, I know we at AgDef, I know you do, I know I do, the whole crew at AgDef Sol, we take very seriously that, you could have done anything else with your Saturday. You elected to take your hard-earned, inflation-beaten money, thank you, Joe Biden, you fucking tool bag, and come out and spend your Saturday and your money with us. Mm-hmm. And you're giving me your time, you're giving me your trust. I'm going to earn your trust, and I'm going to validate your trust. I'm going to give you the information, because that's why we're here. As like we tell people all the time, AgDef Sol does not exist so that we can all buy my box, because that ain't happening.
But you can trust when you come out, you are being provided instruction, not an experience. Usually you get both.
Yeah.
But there is instruction that you get.
There's an experience. I think it's dinner and a show. I think there's a little bit of humor that happens on our ranges.
Yeah, we got some characters, I guess would be the way to put it.
We make sure you get an education. We make sure that you learn how to shoot and do the things that you're supposed to do. But I don't know of anybody who has ever taken a class with us that did not, at the end of the day, go, yeah, I laughed.
Yeah.
I got some chuckles in. I got sweaty, and I got grimy, and I got scuffed, and I got covered in dirt and cordite, and my shoulder hurts. But I remember that thing because I laughed when he said it. And that's the whole reason I brought the whole humor thing into it. When I started teaching it. When we first started doing the T-shirts, where the T-shirts came from is I'd be down at, teaching something, and I'd have a catchphrase that I'd throw out there to teach these young guys, especially these young military guys, how to remember how to do this thing. And they're like, fucking Gunny, you should put that on a T-shirt. Yeah, okay. Well, enough people said it enough times, I finally said, okay, fine. And so we started putting shit on T-shirts.
Yeah.
And then the T-shirts started selling, and then there you go. And so then they become funny things, or they become sayings that stick.
Yep. And
then they become part of the lexicon, which means that they then become training 5 steps out. The whole thing, like relative superiority. We had a T-shirt that said displayed relative superiority, speed, surprise, and violence of action.
Mm-hmm. Be safe or be violent.
That's right. Hit hard, hit fast, hit often. Yep. So, good times. Today was a great training day. For those of you who are not jealous yet, let me explain. AgDef Sol provided the ammo. We came out to the executive range. We hung out. We did an in-brief. And then we probably all shot probably 10, by the end of the day, probably 10, 12 mags worth of training. Mm-hmm. And everybody got 1-on-1, 2-on-1, and in some cases 4-on-1 observation and critique from members of the crew. So Jeremy and Mac and Adrian all critiqued me shooting, and I critiqued them shooting, and back and forth. It was a great time. And
it didn't take 800 rounds to do it.
No, and everybody got something out of it. Yeah. That was the thing. We banked some steel, we banked some paper. And it was all basic fundamental stuff too. That was the other thing. Nobody had to come out and do 40 push-ups and roll around on the ground for 10 minutes and then shoot a bug in the eyeball.
Fucking cool guy gear.
Yeah. No, you came out, run what you brung, and it was the fun.
One guy brought a Kimber and he got some righteous shit for that.
We joked him so fucking hard. To be fair, he said, I don't like the holster for my 320, so I bought a Kimber.
Yeah.
So.
I didn't like the way these tires felt, so I bought a different car.
Hey, look, and if you ball like that, and he apparently balls that way, rock on, brother.
If that's your logic, okay. It's not mine, but...
That's right. Right. I didn't like the way that ham sandwich tasted, so I bought a pizza shop. Okay, rock on, dude. Cool. Well, I don't think we hurt anybody's feelings, unless you are an instructor,
And
in air quotes.
beg to differ, come on down.
Yeah, and yet
happy to talk.
Yeah, there you go. If you've got any thoughts, anything you'd like to hear us talk about, or any ideas for podcasts or whatever, give us a shout. Send it to info@agdefsol.com. Lee will put a banner on here someplace. Lee's not here today. He was at a party or something. He had a little pinky up while he's drinking tea or whatever the fuck he was doing. But he's an important guy. He's going to be the governor of the Commonwealth, so that happens. So, I don't think we've hurt anybody's feelings.
Oh.
Burst of Thunderers suck. And, shout out to Firearms Performance Enhancements. They're going to be doing some stuff here. You'll see from them in the next couple of months. But if you've got a gun and you want to make it better, contact Mike Brini at Firearms Performance Enhancements, Virginia Beach. He will make your gun run better. If you are outside of the Tidewater area, if you're north of us and you want some quality education, reach out to Gun Commander Mike Bosch. He's a good dude. He's a friend of ours. He'll hook you up and get you sorted out. If you are south of us, near Charleston, South Carolina, reach out to Ron Ellers at Paratus Tactical. He's a good dude. He's a former crew member here, and he decided to move to warmer environs. But he's a good guy. He's got good information. So, any rocks, bottles, bombs, hand grenades?
Tang folios and canics are bad.
Well,
they're not good.
Look,
if it's your only option, it's better than a rock.
If you have to fight off a methed out lot lizard, a 10 Miller Tang folio will probably get it done for you. And a canic. So a guy brought a canic into the shop the other day. Rick Treadbosser, as a matter of fact. He brought it in. He's having some work done to it. And he was telling me that they make a metal canic. So you can get a steel canic. And all I could think of when he said that was the line from Snatch where he goes, heavy is good. Heavy is sign of reliability. If it does not work, you can hit him with it. And I thought, well, I would probably hit somebody with a canic before I try to shoot them with it. But, that's me. I'm a snob. I like my guns to come out of either America or the Black Forest.
Fair.
There you go. Cool. All right. Well, I think that's it. Have a great one. If Lee gets this one up on the interwebs in time, Merry Christmas. If not, well, whatever. Have a great one. Take care.
Later.
We all have a tendency to look at any kind of subject and go, this is what's important.
Mm-hmm.
And we very rarely finish the sentence being, well, this is what's important to me, right? As an instructor, what's important, everything's important. Because everything is important because you've got to get all of that information to the client, to the student.
If it's not important, we wouldn't be fucking doing it.
Exactly.